Are you taking this on record? Jesus.
He feeds on other conch, and he also like fingers and toes.
An island measuring 1 by 3.5 miles, Key West is at the tip of the Florida Keys, a 152-mile chain of islands stretched like a string of pearls between the Gulf of Mexico and the mighty Atlantic.
He liked it so much that he put it on the wall.
The closer to the equator, the greater the sex drive.
People, you know, you wouldn't normally meet because the island's so small, and I guess everybody is a little eccentric.
Key West is a subtropical island, which seems like a foreign country. Parts of it, such as the Peggy Mills Garden, are so tropical that with a change of soundtrack, they resemble a Tarzan movie. But Key West is an American city where baseball has always been popular.
Pitch, Daddy. Stay up on it. Work, you. Come on. Come on, you. Yeah, batter.
The U.S. military has always been prominent here, and the manhole covers are a gift from the U.S. Navy. At the end of World War II, a patriotic Key Wester built his house with windows in a V for Victory sign. But this shot of a very American courthouse taken at noon reveals a very un-American disregard for punctuality. It's noon, Eastern Standard Time, but here in Key West, time is kept with more imagination. This is island time.
There is not that I have to be somewhere. You do the things, you do work, but there is not a time on it.
People seem to move slower, and things get done just as well as when we rush around fast like in New York City.
People are a lot friendlier here than most other places because they're so much more relaxed.
It is less pressure. I can be myself more here and relax.
Just a little more relaxed.
Everybody comes in here just to relax. And it has a marvelous relaxed air about the whole community.
Just about the only people in Key West who aren't relaxed are the one-day tourists.
I think that the conch train gives a true picture and a true history of Key West.
Good afternoon. Very glad to have you aboard the conch train on Micro Attraction. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome each of you to Key West, Florida, southernmost city in the continental United States.
Another way to find out about the past is to ask a native.
Well, it was a whole lot better than what it is now. Because, are you taking this on record? Jesus. We had a streetcar. All your friends, you'd stop and talk to them. They were a whole lot nicer. We had a sheriff that if he walked down the street and he saw a woman on the street with her clothes short, he'd take her down to the chief of police. He used to measure their clothes. They had to be so long or they couldn't be on the street. They go around here naked. You've seen it yourself. The breast hanging out and the tail showing. You couldn't do that not years ago.
This was a seaport, and when the men in them days were on sailing vessels, they were out at sea 5, 6, 7 months. This was the most ideal place to go if you wanted to find a woman. If you had frustrations, you wanted to beat out of you. It was a natural thing to get drunk. It was a rough town. The bars were rough. There was gambling.
Oh, they had the red light district down there where the Navy Yard is, some place down there. But honey, they had to go to the doctor every so often for a checkup. Am I terrible?
A close look at the gingerbread on this building tells its history. Hearts, diamonds, wine, and whiskey bottles served as subtle advertisements for this Prohibition-era speakeasy and gambling hall, supplied with liquor by rum runners from Cuba. Closer to Cuba than the U.S. mainland, Key West has always had a large and lively Cuban population.
Cuba, where all is gay, why don't you plan a wonderful trip to Havana? Hop on a ship and I'll see you in C-U-B-A.
Where this mannequin now stands, the wives of sea captains once watched either for their men's returning ships or for word that they were widows. So came the name Widow's Walk. Also known as Captain's Walks, sea captains used them for sighting the shipwrecks which once became Key West's most peculiar and profitable industry, a trade known as wrecking. Because navigation was crude and the coral reefs are treacherously close to the surface of the water, ships wrecked at a phenomenal rate in Key West, nearly one a week in the 1850s. By salvaging the priceless cargoes for auction, Key West became the richest city per capita in America. When the authorities finally built lighthouses, the more practical-minded wreckers put up their own false beacons to maintain the precious supply of wrecks on the reefs. Built by seafaring men, the Victorian architecture of Key West has withstood many hurricanes. The Key West Elks Club.
What's unique is that it goes right back to real craftsmanship. In the beginning, the buccaneers and the old sea captains, they had men on these boats that knew what they were doing. People see these things and they like them. Maybe they don't know why, but it's because it's got good art, good architecture, good common sense.
The characteristic ornament of Key West houses is gingerbread, ranging from heart gingerbread to gingerbread. Although there are a few non-Victorian pretenders, such as this modern pineapple design, most of the gingerbread in Key West was designed by sea captains and cut by hand. The natives of Key West, whose ancestors built the gingerbread houses, are called conchs, after the tropical mollusk, which is the staple food of the islanders.
Now, this is your conch you're looking at now. That's his two eyes right there. And that there's his mouth. And this here is his feet. See? And now this here is not his meat you all looking at. Now, that's his skin. See, a lot of people think that's the meat they be eating. And when they come down here and look at it, they first word they holler, glad I eat it before I seen it, see?
You know, I was supposed to be a fast thinker. I used to fight, you know. Can't fight no more, got a bad leg now, get beat.
Caesar Cantala is a fourth-generation conch who, like most conchs, knows much of the island's history.
Pekin's Lane of today was, by the old settlers, was Gruntbone Lane, Gruntbone Alley. They must have been great lovers of fish.
People used to go through the lane, Gruntbone Alley, calling grunts, grunts, grunts.
They found nothing but grunt bones all in the land and puddles, hills, of where people had eaten a lot of grunts.
Oh, there was, yeah. And we didn't have to pay for garbage. It all come in. Now we pay for it, and some, that man across the way, puts it in other people's garbage cans.
A man by the name of Pekin came along and purchased a lot of land in Gruntbone Lane, and then from then on it was known as Pekin's Lane. How does that one sound?
The first conchs were British sympathizers who fled the 13 colonies during the American Revolution. Sailing under the slogan, "We'd rather eat conchs than fight," they settled in the Bahamas and later migrated to Key West.
These people have been invaded by everything. I say they're great people character-wise, their word is good, because in a small island, you cannot be not sincere. There's no place to go.
Not only are the natives called conchs, so is everything else in Key West. The high school team and band, the conchettes, the Navy's flying conch. But the biggest conch in Key West is hole number 13 at the miniature golf course, where a local musician sang a local song.
Life is a breeze on the Florida Keys because I'm doing just what I please.
Pleuroploca gigantea is a term that not many people are familiar with. More people are familiar with what it refers to, which is the Florida horse conch.
This here is a bad conch here. This here is the horse conch. He feeds on other conch, and he also like fingers and toes. And he just as quick as you can bat your eyes or pop your finger. You don't get your hand in his mouth now, unless you want to draw some insurance, because he got that already fixed up for you.
Those familiar with an ordinary brass mouthpiece know that it is well cushioned with the silvered brass, whereas this thing is practically knife-like in its intensity on the edge.
It hurts the lips.
It hurts eventually.
He feeds off other conchs, and he also, see how quick he is? He just did it one time. See? Now he can shut that trap up so tight till water can't even come out. See? And when you get your hand in there and holler, if you're helping here, you can say goodbye fingers, because they ain't yours no more, they belongs to him.
One inserts the hand into the opening where the creature used to live. This, of course, changes the pitch, and from the pitches that are available, one simply builds up a tune. Here, for example, is he's got the whole world in his hands.
In 1931, a young writer named Ernest Hemingway moved into this house with his second wife, Pauline, a fashion writer for the Paris edition of Vogue magazine. Gathered from Spain, Africa, and Cuba, the furnishings are predictably masculine with a taste for adventure. It was here in Key West that Hemingway went fishing in the Gulf, went drinking at Sloppy Joe's, raised 2 sons, raised 50 cats, and wrote such masterpieces as To Have and Have Not, Death in the Afternoon, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, and For Whom the Bell Tolls.
He was a very close guy. He hung around with 4 or 5 guys. That was it. He never socialized. Every woman to him was a natural-born piece of ass, and that's it. Talking about the bar, yeah, this is the oldest bar in the state of Florida today, and the Hemingway years, you know, were spent here and brought in his bar. In fact, he had a stool, and at 5 o'clock every afternoon, and 3 stools had to be vacated for him and his whoever he went fishing with that day.
Of course, tourists come to follow in Hemingway's footprints, but dozens of other writers have traditionally come here to work and relax, as did Zane Grey and his brother. Anais Nin honeymooned in Key West. Robert Frost spent many winters here. When the southernmost house was a nightclub, Carson McCullers went there with Tennessee Williams, who had kept a house in Key West since the 40s. Key West is conducive to writing because it is isolated. It is the end of the road. Artists also share the islanders' natural appreciation of eccentricity.
I came here to paint. I came here to paint and then to find peace.
The thing that I remember the most is seeing a bunch of weird people downtown. Really weird. I mean, people get dressed up here. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
They're the people that you take home with you?
Sometimes.
This is a great place for psychologists. They spend hours here. They usually walk out being a basket case themselves.
Because painter-naturalist John James Audubon worked here for 2 months in 1832, this house has been restored to become Key West's 3rd most popular tourist attraction. Key Westers are restoring almost anything that stands on the island because of their special love affair with their conch houses.
This is a friend of mine who came down here 2 years ago and fell in love with it, bought a house. He was here for 6 months, said, I cannot stand it. He sold the house and went back north. Lasted exactly 6 months and came back, and now he's looking for a house to buy again and said, I did the most idiotic thing in my life. I should never have sold that house because I came back. I can't stand it anyplace else. Now figure that one out, darling. I don't know.
Like tourism, restoration supports several of Key West's many artists. Don Beebe is a sandblaster by day and a goldsmith by night. His partner is a potter and a painter.
We were starving artists for so long. Decided to make some money so we could support our art habit. That's fun, though. You can space out when you're sandblasting. The sandblasting finances the gold.
In Key West, there's no mixing with the customers. They give you a lot more freedom to express yourself as a person and as a dancer here than most of the other clubs. And I think that's pretty much because it's the island and the people are more relaxed here than other places.
Go into a trance when I'm dancing.
Duncan is a fashion magazine photographer, one of many photographers who come each year to shoot life in the tropics.
Well, I'm an underwater photographer, and for the last 5 or 6 years I've been photographing a treasure hunt here in Key West. The last time I was doing any active treasure hunting was about 6 months ago, and I found a gold bar and 14 feet of gold chain then. That was in one spot, literally within about 2 feet of one another. This was what I received as a bonus. It's a quarter doubloon. So this was the same thing as a $32 bill back in the 17 and 1800s. The first piece that I found was an 8.5-foot long gold chain. It's been appraised at $250,000. That was the first gold that was found on the wreck site here in Key West. I found over 30 feet of gold chain so far. I think a lot of people still have a need to explore. You can go any place and do anything on land, and it's very difficult to find a place that's completely untouched by man. If you go into water, practically anywhere you go, chances are very small that anybody else has been there. I think it's the pioneering spirit. There's no more deserts to cross and no more continents to discover. Most people will never have an opportunity to get to the moon. It's a logical and relatively inexpensive alternative.
Scared of them. And you see here, that's all he can do. He can't pinch you, he can't bite you, scratch you, or nothing. All he can do is just tickle you, scare you, and make you laugh. And you see what his real name is, what you call the vacuum cleaner and the back scratcher. Now, it's like your back itching, and you ain't got no boy to scratch it for you. This here is your boy.
The church remains influential in the lives of Cuban fishermen. Once a year, their wives throw offerings into the water to bless the fishing fleet.
A la oficina del comandante en cordura. Jure que lo hará por mí.
Se lo juro.
Gracias.
Spanish is the island's second language. Even Gary Cooper and Rita Hayworth speak it in Key West. It is the primary language of the Cuban restaurants.
Tantas personas diferentes, de diferentes lugares, vienen aquí a Cayo Hueso.
Por dos razones. Una por su clima y otra por las mujeres bonitas que hay en Key West.
Well, he says that people come to Key West because of the climate, you know, and it's a lot of beautiful girls here in Key West.
Anywhere in the tropics, the minute you get close to the warmer climate, the person changes. The closer to the equator, the greater the sex drive.
From the owner of the restaurant sent that calendar, and that's why he has it here. And he liked it so much that he put it on the wall.
Key Westers are healthy people. An average annual temperature of 77 degrees allows year-round exercise in pollution-free subtropical surroundings.
On my age, I felt like I was not part anymore. In America, everyone has to be young. Here, I don't have that feeling at all. I can grow out just as gracefully and enjoy what everyone else can do.
Bicycles outnumber cars in Key West. Since the island is small, bicycle travel is convenient as well as healthy.
Weather, for one thing. People that live here, they don't have much rheumatism, arthritis, and stuff like that, you know. The heat keeps the blood thin, so it flows evenly, you know. You ever thought of that? And people that live up north, they suffer with arthritis because the blood is thick and it doesn't move quite as fast. Love it. I'm gonna be here till I die.
The city cemetery covers several blocks in the center of the island. In Key West, one passes it often, in daily travels and in conversation.
I'll probably never leave here. And my only hope is that they bury me at the city cemetery someday, but not in one of them vaults. It's very important to me I get buried in the ground.
But I came here to die 8 years ago. That's what I told my friends. I'll never leave again.
You know what I'm having done now with the last money I've got in this world? The cemetery lot cemented to. So the weeds won't grow up, and because nobody don't pull them but me, I'll have it done, and I can't afford it. $10, $20, and $30 every time to have it cleaned. When I'm dead, who's gonna have it cleaned?
If I wrote a song about Key West, I'd write a song about island paradise. Nothing about working.
If I wrote a song about Key West, I'd think about starving. Coming as a newcomer, you're gonna starve.
A little town like this is a hard town to try to survive. That's why it's a great town, because only the best have survived, just the best.
All the people that go to Sunset. I think that's really incredible, the way people just, you know, gather around Mallory Square and just enjoy just nature. Where else do you see people doing that?
It's just everybody comes at night, you know. I don't know the real reason why. It's just sort of a ritual.
Good old banana bread. You don't get it now, don't blame me when it's gone.
Look at it. You cannot describe it.
You have to meet some really nice people down here. People, you know, you wouldn't normally meet because the island's so small, and I guess everybody is a little eccentric, a little wild. And they just live out their own little fantasies, you know, and it's nice.
And then there are guys with torn shorts and dungarees and stuff that come apart.
It's my job, you know. I was chosen by God to do this. Sunset is a religious thing with me. The sun go down every day. A lot of people take it for granted, but if it didn't ever shine, everybody be in darkness. So I worship the sun, you know. I put it to sleep every night.
Well, people just feel freer to do whatever they want, you know, because it's kind of like, it's kind of like a big asylum.
That's what I call trade, that give us a chance to see that little bit of the car. And these conch shells, I've never saw anything like it. Nice,
In Key West, you can get away with a lot of things that you can't in other places. It's just the feeling of being able to be loose, really loose.
Consuming a pound of espresso each night, the Cuban bakers bake until dawn. The rest of Key West celebrates. When a Cuban girl reaches age 15, her father hosts the Los Quinces, a sweet 15 coming out party. Although almost any time is party time in Key West, the arrival of the full moon is occasion for a major party. But a holiday, such as Halloween, is a marathon celebration.
see it again.
From the Empire State to the Golden Gate, Key West welcomes you. From the Panama to Canada, Key West welcomes you. With its streets from Atlantic to the Gulf Stream, and the sun shines almost every day. You can pack all your troubles way behind you, and you can be king for a day. Sights beyond belief at the 12-mile reef, Key West welcomes you. Now you've tried the rest, now try the best, Key West welcomes you. Streets from Atlantic to the Gulf Stream, and the sun shines almost every day. You can pack all your troubles way behind you, and you can be king for a day. Sights beyond belief at the 12-mile reef, Key West welcomes you. Now you've tried the rest, now try the best, Key West welcomes you.